Okay, this is okay here, and I should have changed the title. This is, let me just quickly do that. Done. Okay. So, okay, this is okay here, and this is more of a recap stream. We're joining in game 10 of a match between Chicken Crossroad and penguingim1. Penguin, as always, playing the Scandi. This is the pawn sack line that I saw Mugwort essayed against Penguin. The, the pawn sack is rejected, and we're up to the live position. And GSVC says I play G4, not B4. This sucks for black, says Penguin in the chat. Yeah, just not such good. I mean, the king is safe, but not such good development of his pieces. Basically, maybe better control of the board. Okay, so he has got a pawn. He's managed to get a pawn on e4, which he's holding on to, and he has got a queen staring at h2, but no pieces in hand. So I mean, I imagine just so if knight here would be met by knight here, and then rook here, maybe. And I don't see another move that defends e4, so black's dead. Okay, so Chicken's got another idea though. Instead of hunting pawns, what's he going to do? Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a fork of the queen and the knight. So you take the knight means you get this pawn for free. So he is hunting pawns at the end of the day. But black has got some lines though, some good lines against the white king. So he's getting some compensation. Oh, that's a nice move. So I think it's a nice move. Takes, sidestep, queen takes. Can you do something with... You are giving black a knight for h3 then, so he just sidesteps. Let's see what they're saying in the chat. Not sure about this knight d6. And why not take d6? Yeah, I'm not sure. Take d6 because then you have a knight for h3. So at the end of this game, I'll do a quick recap of the first 9 games of the match, which if you are perceptive, you can see how those games have gone already. But I won't spoil it further. We'll take a quick look at those games. Yeah, so just defending. I mean, the king on c8 is blocking this rook out of the game. So from a very positional point of view, that's not ideal. You could just drop another pawn or push. Pushing a pawn weakens here, but I guess he's figuring this square is well enough defended that I don't need. So basically, he Chicken doesn't want knights. He wants, say, rooks and pawns and so forth. So he's going to take this pawn, then take this pawn, maybe, and then put a pawn here. What else could he possibly want? Oh, he could want a bishop. Okay. He could want a bishop, and then... Okay, and the bishop isn't even the knight isn't even taken. Okay, now this is a huge threat, fork on king and queen. Notice this knight is just doing nothing. Knight near the king is a friend, so quite smart not taking it. So this is now a free rook if he wants it. I don't see why not. Okay, he's trying to make some more progress on that king before he takes the rook. So bishop here, for example, yes. Stops the king running back. Queen here check. This provides great coverage for the king, and now take the rook, I imagine. Take the rook and then go, a very cute move is take the rook and then go queen takes pawn check. And if pawn takes, rook here check and knight takes pawn checkmate. And if pawn doesn't take, then queen here is checkmate. So queen takes pawn, yes, let's see it. Queen takes pawn. Let's see it, let's see it, let's see it. Yes, he finds it. Yes, yes. Brilliant, lovely. Yes, Katask in the chat also saw it. Yes, really nice mate. And I was quite proud I saw it myself. So, chicken on fire, as Katask says in the chat. GG, says Retarded Platypus, 1, 2, 3. 9-1 to chicken against penguin. Really strong play. So I'm going to have a quick look at the games and see how he did it. So game 1, chicken is black. And really, just playing a6, so everyone would say that's a waste of a tempo. And yet already, after move 3, white plays f3, and this is not a strong move. Maybe I turn the engine on, but we don't need an engine to see why this isn't a strong move. It's a strong move in chess. I'm going to turn off best move arrow though, because some people find that distracting. So if you want to look at the engine, you can take a look, but you're not being forced to look at it. You can just focus on the board and ignore the engine. Yeah, f3. I mean, already white was doing fine here before this move, and he goes at f3. And the reason why it's not a strong move is it weakens the dark squares around his king, and then he has no pawns in hand to fix the gap. And chicken just develops naturally, but notice, yeah, with this move, e5, it's indirectly hitting the dark squares, and in the end, hitting f2. So again, the material is still equal after here. Takes, material is still equal, although the engine is not impressed at all. Very nice find here. And the idea is if takes here, you go bishop here, takes here, you've destabilized the king. Your own king is very well protected, all your pieces, protecting all the entry squares. So penguin didn't take this, but doesn't really help. This knight is coming in, hitting this weak f2 square. f2 comes. And this knight is even protected, so this doesn't even create a threat. So why not just king f1? King f1. Maybe bishop d6 it says was coming. Bishop d6, but he could just block. Bishop takes e5. I see. The idea is to get a pawn and try and hit on the light squares. The dark squares are controlled, and then you have to just try and get a pawn and hit on the light squares, even at the cost of a bishop. Okay, but penguin decides 2 pieces for the queen, and again we're just hitting on the light squares, trying to block off this diagonal here. But this defends with check, takes. Oh, just worth saying here, takes here was just not an option because of queen here blocks, and then the other queen is coming in. So if something like pawn here, queen here, king here, and we've got a knight now in hand, so knight here will be checkmate. So you can't take that with the king, so that's why he just sidesteps with the rook. And now a very nice combination, sacking the queen to bring the other queen in, and check and checkmate. Okay, so that was game 1. And why did penguin lose game 1? All because he disobeyed Ben Feingold's advice of never play f3. f3 does have uses, but in this particular game, the dark squares proved too weak, despite the fact he hadn't played bishop e3 either. So yeah, that proved to be a fatal error, and that cost him the game. Let's look at game 2. Now, this is rather unfortunate because I turned best move arrow off, but it was before I opened up all these other tabs, and so it's not listening to my instruction. So I'll have to open up these tabs again. Okay, so notice Penguin plays quite a passive setup. That in itself is not an issue, but I was just opening up the tabs. But Chicken plays this very well. Just he takes control of the center, so he's probably this is a good opening setup. This against this sort of actually sometimes I've seen against that fianchetto better f3, e4 played. It's not as if f3 is always bad. It's just okay. So takes. Well, you can clearly see here White's got a great command of the center. This bishop's completely locked out of the game. So positionally, this is just a masterclass from Chicken. Queen's under attack. Oh, just moves with a counterattack. Takes. Fortunately, Black has no knight for here, so he's doing well. Okay, so Black's still holding on. Takes, throws in another attack. Okay, this seems quite annoying because it's hitting this pawn. But this is an annoying counterattack, both defending and hitting c7. Okay, knight takes pawn comes with checks, so Black has no time to take here. But now what do you do? Just castles, simply castles. Lose the knight, but come in. Was anything better? Seems reasonable. Of course, the threat is just rook at d8, back rank mate. Maybe this was a beautiful move. Queen takes bishop, so he sacrifices the queen because he wants to go bishop at d6. And the idea of this is obviously if the king just sidestepped, rook at a7 would be checkmate. But if he goes here, takes and comes this way, there's a very beautiful mate which goes something like here check, here, rook here check, defended by the bishop, comes back, and then I think these are both mate. Yes, they're both mate. So a beautiful mate he's seen, which is why he has to run straight away. But here, Chicken just grabbed material, but the mates, there is still mate with knight here check, king here, rook here check. King's got only one square to go to, and bishop here is checkmate. So a mate in 3 missed by Chicken. Instead grabbing material. This is just a trap from Penguin. Obviously if you take this knight you're suddenly losing the game because of, remember, Black's got a queen in hand, so simply does the standard thing of knight f3 or knight e2 and knight f4, wherever you go, queen is landing on g2 with checkmate. Knight f3 also works. Knight f3, king takes g2, new knight f4. You have 2 knights in hand, it's all over. So very important in this position that there is no smothered mate because this bishop is covering f2. So if you dump a queen here, rook takes, there's no knight takes f2 smothered mate. So this bishop is a key, as well as being a key attacker, is also a key defender. Let's just backtrack. When does that bishop put on the board? All the way back here. Can you imagine the foresight of putting that bishop on h4 and not on g5? That's some nice foresight from Chicken, and it really served him well so many moves later. Okay, so he missed the direct mate, he just grabs material, but still White is completely winning. Nice check and checkmate in the end. Okay, now let's look at game 3. And again, he's just following the same sort of opening, but Penguin is not going to play f3 this game. He's learnt his lesson. He's obviously been in chess mode. But the problem is Black's still getting a very nice, comfortable position. Backs off. Oh, and he's managed to trap that bishop, which is not a strong move. Just simply at d5 actually was the move here. Yeah, that does look strong. But instead he traps the bishop, and the problem with this is yeah, why can't you take the bishop? Just takes back, and threats here remain. So takes, pawn takes, bishop backs off, pawn here, picking up some material, defends. Very insistent attack on the dark squares. So just like game 1 was an attack on the dark squares, game 2 also attack on the dark squares. Just so insistently attacking these dark squares. Takes, a little bit of a blunder. I mean, it's hopeless already for white. King g1 was best, but after this, there's a very nice mate. The king can't run back because the bishop and knight cover both the escape squares, and the pawn stops you from running forwards. So very pretty mate in game 3. Game 4. Game 4, if I remember correctly, was quite a mess in that both sides had chances to win this game. So instead of going knight takes d2, this time it goes queen takes d2. Defending the knight with the queen. Always got to be sensitive. So you don't want to go bishop takes knight, pawn takes with the queen there, because that would be a fork. But he's rerouting the knight. Now what's the idea of this move? It looks like their ideas of takes, these sorts of ideas. I'm not sure if they work, but okay. And turned out this is a critical error from black, but not for very obvious reasons. Apparently you just do something like this, c6, and maybe take the knight, and if it takes here, knight at h5. Okay, I'm not sure exactly why, but if I did this move, bishop here check, I'd have thought that just moving the knight back would be very nice for black. Unfortunately, it doesn't work at all, because you can take it with check, takes, and this is checkmating. So it's a very sudden mate out of nowhere. Knight at e5. Oh, the computer's not seeing mate. King f8, knight at g6, king g8, bishop at f7. Okay, maybe it's not quite mate. It's just very hard to defend. It probably is mate. So if black doesn't have mate, then pawn is coming here and bishop takes is checkmate. So something like g5. Hi there, Marina Kosova. This is not a study where we're actually looking at games which have just been played this second, just in the last hour. So it's not a study. So I thought there was a mate here, but apparently it's not quite mate. But it's just a very strong position. So something like g5 maybe just gives the king luft, and then things are not so clear. Bishop at g6, king g7, at f6, king takes f6. Here, okay, so there's no mate, but now we're threatening bishop at e7. Okay, so it's just a horrible position for black. Okay, so that's a very hard opportunity missed, going bishop here, trying to tempt the knight back and sacking on f7. That's a difficult one. So it takes back, looks good, and white's still completely winning. This looks nasty, forking the bishop and queen. Why is it not nasty? Because you can throw a check. You can move the queen with tempo, attacking something else. And that's what happened. Here. Okay, bishop here. So white's still doing well, takes. And then here again is a mistake from white, but a very natural move, just simply taking back the pawn. Turned out the move to play here was this. Am I right? No, I'm not right at all. Apparently the move to play was e6 check, takes, and then this. Okay. But okay, this looks really dangerous because you got an exchange of queens. That looks knight d5. Okay, so I'm not seeing any of this. So obviously don't go there because otherwise pawn takes queen is check. Okay, so apparently black's getting mated here. This seems very risky because black could also throw in some checks, but maybe you just sidestep out the way. obviously don't need to take it, and even if you did take it, maybe you're not getting mated. Okay, so I didn't see any of this. Queen takes pawn just looks like such a natural move, but apparently this gives black an opportunity to defend. Takes, castles. Simply queen takes knight is good. This check is still good for black. But apparently with this move, suddenly white's got forced mate. So apparently even just this, and this is the key move, because you can't take here because... why can't you take here? Because pawn at h2, king h1, pawn at g2. If king takes it, you have a double check. King g1, draw the king into the corner, and then come across with the queen. Okay, so not an easy find by any means. So queen at g3 is the key move here, and if he blocks, then just put a pawn on h2, king h1 takes g2, knight takes, and queen takes g2, king takes, and this should be mating. It's seeing mate eventually, because the point is you can push this, and there's nothing defending this diagonal, and you can't even push f3 because of this. This is under control. So at some point you just do this, and you're taking everything. Here, if you just sidestep, there are too many pieces. 2 pawns, knight, 2 bishops. There's going to be mate coming. So knight g4, for example, king h3, bishop at g2 defended by this bishop. So king takes here, but then this queen comes in. King to g3, queen h3, driving the king up, king f4, queen f3. Okay, can't go here because of this. Okay, so it's not a very straightforward mate to see. So there's a key move from black here to take here and go queen at g3, but he didn't do that. And now white's got forced mate, and does he find it? Rook here, check. Knight at d6, takes here. Sacks his rook. I mean, this is amazing from Chicken. He actually did find the mate. Amazing. Finds the mate in like 13 or something, almost exactly. See it down here, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, maybe a slight sidestep. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mate in 13 essentially found by Penguin. Marina Kosova says, can we study atomic? Yeah, but I'm doing an analysis. I've kind of shifted back to Crazyhouse. So this is a Crazyhouse channel. And you can see I've got, I don't know, about, is it 3 weeks almost? 3 weeks of videos on my YouTube in Crazyhouse. But yeah, I've got some good atomic stuff too. And I really enjoy atomic. But trying to get back into Crazyhouse, covering a World Championship match. Okay, so Penguin decides to mix stuff up with knight h3. So we do have a change in opening. Takes the knight. Ooh, this is nasty because if you take back the bishop, you've got knight at f2 coming. So he takes this knight, bishop comes back with check, and then takes back the pawn. So he saves the material with check. Obviously, you need to block with the knight to defend the bishop. Bishop backs off, castles. He wants the second knight to really torture the black king. So the knight moves. Bishop takes pawn. Okay, so let me just turn on the engine. So Penguin is doing. So Penguin is apparently not doing as nicely as I thought here. Despite the black king being so open, he's only got a pawn in hand, and apparently black can defend this, but did not do so correctly. Giving up a knight, what a disaster, when this is double defended. Yeah, I mean, this is just a completely losing move from black. So the best move is probably just backing off, but he gives up a knight, gives up 2 knights, and suddenly that king on g7. Apparently he's still fine after queen g5. Knight here, queen takes d5. Here, what went wrong? Attacks the queen, and black timed out. 13 seconds on the clock. He didn't know where to put his queen. I mean, this is really surprising, but apparently even here, black is actually winning in this position. That's utterly crazy. It's suggesting if you do this, you probably don't want to take it back because knight f5 comes. So queen takes knight apparently is this is quite a challenging move. apparently black's still okay, even after this. King to h8, knight takes h6, and you're still not doing too badly. Bishop at h3, I'd have thought just block on g2. This is really uncomfortable for black, but apparently black's winning. I don't know if I can trust this, but I guess I should. Stockfish tends to be accurate. Knight takes bishop defending here. But, oh, okay, that's a nice move actually. Okay, so that's a really good resource. If ever this takes, you take here. That's a good resource. And if you don't, how do you defend? I mean, if you go something like queen here. Oh, bishop's attacking that queen. Okay, so Penguin did indeed take that one. But as we saw, Stockfish was actually quite enjoying Chicken's position. Okay, so we're on to that was game 5. Game 6. And I haven't seen these games, but we've got the same kind of opening. Except Chicken goes back to what he did in game... is it game 2? In game 2. Taking with the knight. Takes, bishop here, knight here. This looks strong. This looks strong for white. Oh, but this is allowing queen takes g2. That's a critical mistake. So just castles apparently. Castle into the storm and say black doesn't have anything. But okay, that's quite a serious mistake. Takes, rook on the back rank, takes. Black is doing very nicely here. Black even has mate, incredibly. Rook at c1, king e2, queen here. So what was the mate? King e2, queen at e1, king f3, queen takes h1. This is still getting him mated. Rook g1 maybe, a good move, get another attacking piece in. But h5, no, that's also strong. Knight takes h5, rook g1, g3. Okay, so how are we going to mate this king? It looks really... maybe bishop at f5, does that do anything? Pawn at f5, okay. Bishop here, f3, takes, knight here, king comes forward. Rook takes knight apparently was strong. Okay, it's hard to say exactly. But any check is good. So rook takes knight, king takes, queen takes f3. So you're taking here, so the king has to try and run. If knight, then new knight at f5, so if you take back. So try and run, but the problem is the queen is coming in. And you can try and block, but it takes. So you touch down, but you get mated. But instead, what happened was Penguin just tried to develop. So why is that no good? With a bishop, rook, and queen in hand, because this knight's coming in, right? It's all over. King here, queen here, check, queen takes pawn, checkmate. Okay, so really bad miss from Penguin. Was he low on time? Yeah, only 5 seconds on the clock, so quite understandable mistake. So now we go to is it game 7? Or have we seen this one already? Yeah, game 7. Again, it feels like White's created quite a lot of weaknesses in his position with this I mean, f3 is fine, but if you're combining f3 here with moving the h-pawn as well, yeah, few weaknesses on the dark squares. Nothing too bad yet. g4, just a lot of weaknesses on the king side, but nothing devastating. This one's worrying. I'm concerned about this move because just the immediate sack might be something. But apparently it's not critical. Okay, so takes, wins a knight. Yeah, so White's not actually doing so badly. He's been making quite a lot. He's picking up a queen even. Why is he not picking up a queen? There's some trap here, which probably he missed as well. Knight takes g4 and coming in. king g2, so what's the finish? With the 2 pawns, a knight, a bishop and a rook, we could easily go rook here, but then the king goes here. Just knight takes here, maybe? So knight takes here, king here, what's the continuation? Rook at g2, steps up, and then with another knight, you'd go here, but then that's not good. Okay, knight here is better, because then we're controlling this square. Okay. Okay, so yeah. So the queen is poisoned, so he has to block off this rook file. Suddenly, yeah, black's... Yeah, when this actually happens. Wow. Okay, wow, okay. So that's how the game finished. Game 8 went as follows. Ooh, penguin, losing lots of tempi. That is not a good idea in Crazyhouse to lose tempi. Tempi are important. And okay, this is just a slight tilt, I guess. Oh, this is really beautiful. This is beautiful. So where's the mate? Knight here, check. So the point is if bishop takes, queen is going to come in with checkmate. So king takes knight. Here, takes. Something's been missed. Okay, let's see if we can see the mate in 4. We got a pawn and a bishop in hand. Does knight takes pawn work? Knight takes pawn. Okay, there's supposed to be a mate in 4 here for white. Oh, no. Huh, I'm not seeing it. I'm going to have to look what the mate in 4 is. I thought queen h5, I just didn't see the continuation. Bishop takes, knight here check, yes. Oh yeah, because this knight, you keep this knight controlling this square. Knight here check, so king takes knight, then pawn there check. Okay, this is obvious. It's not obvious actually, because you need to see bishop cutting off this. Okay, that's a really beautiful mate. Okay, so he missed this really beautiful mate. Queen h5. Okay, I mean that's I'm going to like star that for future. But instead he played this, takes here, and so he's threatening simply. Okay, so takes, brings the queen in, and checkmates eventually. Okay, so he gets a mate in the end. And finally, the last game before the live game, which we did cover, game 9, chicken is black. Oh, this looks actually good for white. Oh, it's not good. Okay. It's not good because there are not enough pieces to follow up. Okay. But yeah, it looks like... Okay, so I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm looking... We're giving the piece back, and we got a king on f7, a bishop on f8. It looks really uncomfortable. Okay, that's going straight for a counterattack. That's brave. But apparently it's wise. King g8 apparently is even better. But okay. Queen goes back. Hang on a second. If the queen goes back... What am I missing? Why can't I just take this pawn? d3. Okay, so you can even just take this pawn. So queen d3 looks more natural. But okay, queen goes back. Bishop here attacking the queen. f3, oh dear. Knight takes e4. Oh my goodness, so this just turned into an absolute slaughter. The king on f7 is completely safe. The threat of this is... So it was something like queen... I'm not sure what the threat was. Maybe bishop takes... Because the knight's defending this. So if you did nothing, what's the mate? That's what I was... Yeah, just queen. It would be queen at d1 check and getting a queen. If you block, you take the rook. So, okay. So reinforces the back rank, which is important. Wins a pawn. Oh yeah, and then he's got 2 pawns on the back rank. This is bad. And I was thinking queen here, pawn here, but that doesn't work because the knight defends. So you need to find another takes. Is there nothing more strong? Queen takes pawn. So he wants queen takes knight. If knight takes queen, queen at e2. Oh yeah, of course. That's just the knight's a defender. Okay, that's the point of that one. So he's trying to deflect the defender. Oh, I can't believe that actually happened. Okay, but okay, that whole game was a disaster. And then game 10 we saw live, but I'll just play through it again just for completeness. It's this b4 line. It's a very interesting line. I think the point is if you take it, you go here, and the queen can't survive. So if it tries to survive, there is rook b5. This, which would be pretty disastrous. If it tries to go here, okay, I can't see any queen trap, but apparently just here you're getting the pawn back, and white's doing very well. So what's the right approach then after queen takes pawn, rook b1? Of course, the right approach is you have to sack the queen, and this is actually okay. It's not so bad for black at all if you sack the queen. So if you take the pawn, you must sack the queen. That's the point of this opening. Okay, Pengu is not going to go and sack his queen, and we saw this position. Yeah, just more and more pressure. And then he's winning a pawn and soon winning the game. Knight d6 was actually, yeah, top move. Nice move. And why not just simply take the knight? Knight takes f6. That was something I actually missed in the live game. Completely missed that. Terrible. Knight takes d6 is okay, but knight takes f6 is crushing. King d8, you don't even take the queen, you take the rook. Because it's a free rook, the knight's coming back to torture the queen later. Okay, so that's it. And just a quick recap of Chicken Crossroad with a wonderful 9-1 victory against penguingim1. That was actually a positionally outplaying the Grandmaster in Crazyhouse. Thanks, Bethstein, aka Fgala, and thanks everyone else for watching. What should I do? I should just share my blog and my YouTube. My blog is zhchess.blogspot.com. If you haven't seen my YouTube before, that's where you can find lots and lots of Crazyhouse content there and on my blog. And yeah, thanks for watching.